Now what the hell do you think you're doing with that tin star, boy?
Watch that boy shit, redneck. You talking to the sheriff of Rock Ridge.
For decades, Blazing Saddles has been dissected, debated, and quoted endlessly, but there's one detail fans have consistently missed. It's not a deleted scene, a hidden cameo, or behind-the-scenes drama. It's right there on screen, hiding in plain sight, delivered so subtly that even die-hard fans never caught it, until Gene Wilder finally confirmed it. And once you see it, it changes how you view the entire film. What if the most outrageous comedy of its era only worked because of the quietest performance in the room? There's one moment, often overlooked, that held the film together, and it wasn't even in the script. When Mel Brooks began filming Blazing Saddles, the role of the Waco Kid was originally given to Oscar winner Gig Young, a dignified performer expected to bring depth to the aging gunslinger. But on day one, Young showed severe distress, sweating, shaking, slurring, initially mistaken for method acting, but actually the result of acute alcohol withdrawal. By mid-morning, he collapsed, halting production. With the film on the brink, Brooks didn't hold auditions. He picked up the phone and called Gene Wilder. No script, no salary negotiation. Wilder simply said yes and flew out the next day. Arriving jet-lagged, he stepped into a role he'd never rehearsed, and within hours, he embodied the Waco Kid as though born to play him. His performance didn't rely on slapstick or exaggeration. Instead, Wilder played it straight, with restraint, stillness, and mournful depth. In a film filled with chaos, he was the eye of the storm. Brooks later revealed Wilder had one condition for accepting the role: he wouldn't play it for laughs. That choice became the backbone of the entire film. As other characters like Hedley Lamar and Mongo pushed absurdity to the brink, the Waco Kid stood as a burned-out ghost of the Old West, philosophical, reflective, and quietly tragic. In that now-famous jailhouse scene where the kid explains his trembling hands and broken nerve, Wilder didn't aim for irony. He delivered it with a soft, haunted gravity. The performance didn't just save the film, it transformed it. What began as an emergency casting fix became one of the most iconic and subtly powerful performances in comedy history, all sparked by a last-minute phone call and a decision to play it quiet. Gene Wilder's quiet performance in Blazing Saddles didn't just make the lines funny, it made them human. His internalized approach grounded the film's wild satire, keeping it from tipping into pure farce. Wilder's choice to play the Waco Kid with restraint may have echoed his own discomfort with excess. Colleagues often described him as thoughtful, methodical, and emotionally authentic. In this way, the character became a reflection of Wilder himself, an observer who never needed to shout to be heard. Even when delivering absurd dialogue, his timing and control made the lines linger. His scenes weren't the loudest, but they were the ones audiences remembered most. In a movie built on punchlines, Wilder's stillness became the pause that made them hit harder. It was a risk, no doubt. In lesser hands, such subtlety might have faded, but Wilder knew that contrast enhances comedy. His calm, confident restraint became the heart of the film. And while Blazing Saddles is iconic as it stands, it's hard not to wonder what might have been if Richard Pryor, originally tapped to play Sheriff Bart, had starred alongside Wilder. Pryor, who co-wrote the script and infused it with biting racial commentary, was ultimately barred by studio execs due to his controversies, changing the film's chemistry forever. Still, his voice remained in every sharp line, and Wilder himself acknowledged the lost potential of an earlier partnership with Pryor, whose later collaborations with him in Silver Streak and Stir Crazy became legendary. Off-screen, Wilder served as a steadying presence during the chaotic production. While Mel Brooks charged ahead with energy and vision, Wilder grounded the team with quiet mentorship, helping younger actors fine-tune performances and guiding the film's tone behind the scenes. Some even called him the unofficial director of tone, ensuring the satire never lost its sincerity. During breaks in filming, he also planted the first seeds of Young Frankenstein, a side project that would become a classic in its own right. In the end, Wilder's role in Blazing Saddles went far beyond what made it to screen. He was the calm in the chaos, the emotional anchor in a storm of absurdity, and without his presence, it's fair to wonder whether the film could have held together at all. Gene Wilder's portrayal of the Waco Kid in Blazing Saddles is often remembered for its deadpan brilliance, but beneath the laughs lay a performance rich with emotional depth. Far from the cliché of a drunken gunslinger, the Waco Kid was a man broken by his past, haunted, withdrawn, and quietly unraveling. Wilder, ever the sensitive actor, played him not as a caricature, but as someone truly damaged. His trembling hands and vacant gaze weren't exaggerated for laughs. They hinted at trauma, perhaps even PTSD, giving the character a layer of tragic realism. In a film overflowing with satire and slapstick, Wilder's restraint set him apart. His pauses and silences spoke louder than most punchlines. He transformed comedy by underplaying it, using quietness as power. Mel Brooks later praised this emotional intelligence, admitting it wasn't in the script, but Wilder instinctively knew the funniest characters are often those hiding the most pain. Behind that smirk lived a man who'd given up, and though the film never explains why, Wilder's performance makes you feel the weight of that history. It's a subtle humanity that redefines the Waco Kid on repeat viewings. Yet even with this gravitas, keeping a straight face on set was nearly impossible. Wilder's understated delivery routinely broke the crew, forcing multiple takes to be res-hot simply because everyone, from camera operators to Brooks himself, couldn't stop laughing. His most innocuous lines, like, "You know, morons," hit so unexpectedly that even co-star Cleavon Little struggled to stay in character. Ironically, while Wilder played it cool, others couldn't hold it together. Some of his more introspective scenes were reportedly cut to preserve the film's brisk pace, but those who witnessed them still recall the dramatic weight they carried. It raises the question, would more of that quiet introspection have enhanced the story or slowed its momentum? Either way, the final cut preserves enough to grasp Wilder's brilliance, but the lost footage lingers in the minds of fans and film historians alike. Ultimately, Gene Wilder's performance didn't just support the chaos. It gave it contrast, soul, and staying power. And behind the scenes, it was often the lines you never heard, because the crew was laughing too hard, that told you everything about his genius. Gene Wilder's performance in Blazing Saddles was a quiet defiance of Hollywood's comedic clichés. At a time when most comic actors leaned into loud, exaggerated antics and mugging for the camera, Wilder chose stillness, subtlety, and restraint. As the Waco Kid, he refused to play to the punchline, letting dry wit, perfect timing, and silence carry his scenes. In the now iconic jail cell introduction, slouched and half-drunk, he delivered lines with an effortless calm that didn't demand attention, it earned it. This wasn't just a stylistic choice. It was a radical departure from the over-the-top energy that defines studio comedies of the era. While the rest of the cast pushed boundaries outward, Wilder pulled back. In doing so, he made his character feel startlingly real, a man who had truly seen too much. Lines like, "Are we awake?" landed not because they were delivered loudly, but because they were delivered honestly. His approach respected both the material and the audience, creating a kind of grounded realism that allowed the surrounding absurdity to shine even brighter. Wilder didn't try to dominate scenes, he reacted, he listened, he balanced the chaos. Entrusting the tone and intelligence of the story, he elevated it. His refusal to conform didn't weaken his role, it became its anchor. Ironically, while playing a supporting character, he redefined what a comedic lead could be. And it was on that very set, amid the madness of Blazing Saddles, that Wilder quietly birthed one of his greatest ideas, Young Frankenstein. In a casual moment between takes, he floated the concept to Mel Brooks. What if the grandson of Dr. Frankenstein wanted nothing to do with his infamous lineage? At first, Brooks brushed it off, but Wilder's quiet passion led him to write a draft anyway. Once Brooks read it, the project took off. This idea, born not in a studio pitch room but on the fringes of an already chaotic production, became a genre-defining classic. With Young Frankenstein, Wilder stepped beyond acting. He co-wrote the film, shaped its tone, and proved himself as a creative force. The same instincts that made his Waco Kid so memorable, balance, restraint, emotional intelligence, carried into his work behind the camera. Without Blazing Saddles, it's likely Young Frankenstein would never have existed. The film that redefined parody comedy also served as the quiet launchpad for one of cinema's most enduring storytellers. Wilder's journey from scene-stealing actor to visionary creator didn't come with noise. It came from quiet defiance, quiet confidence, and impeccable timing. Gene Wilder's impact on Blazing Saddles went far beyond his unforgettable performance. He also became a quiet but vital force behind the scenes, standing firmly with Mel Brooks during the film's fiercest clashes with the studio. Warner Brothers executives were uneasy from the start, pushing for script changes to soften the film's unapologetic racial satire, blunt language, and bold social commentary. Though not a producer, Wilder stood his ground, encouraging Brooks to stay true to the film's vision, even if it meant risking studio support. He understood that the power of the film lay in its discomfort, in its ability to expose America's contradictions through laughter. His resistance wasn't loud or dramatic, but it was unwavering, embodying a calm defiance of the Hollywood system's preference for safety over honesty. For Wilder, satire was never supposed to be polite. Its job was to confront, not comfort. He supported scenes that others wanted cut, defended Sheriff Bart's arc, and saw the townspeople's ignorance as essential to the film's truth. His stance, backed by his credibility from the producers, gave Brooks's vision the weight it needed to survive the pressure. Without shouting, Wilder helped preserve one of the boldest comedies in film history. On screen, that same quiet strength carried through. His portrayal of the Waco Kid gave the film its emotional anchor. In a world of chaos, slapstick, and parody, Wilder's introspective, grounded presence held everything together. His character didn't just deliver lines, he reflected on the madness surrounding him, offering viewers a lens of weary wisdom amid the absurdity. At a time when comedy was often loud and brash, Wilder brought nuance, internality, and restraint, turning his performance into a quiet revolution. He made the satire land harder by never competing with it. Over the years, that subtlety has only grown in value. While other performances earned immediate laughs, Wilder's aged into something more meaningful, a masterclass in holding back, letting the audience lean in. His work helped Blazing Saddles earn its place in the National Film Registry, not just for its humor, but for its cultural, historical, and artistic weight. Wilder's legacy is more than one role. He helped define a new kind of comedy, one where intelligence, silence, and sadness can coexist with hilarity. He proved that being revolutionary doesn't always require a shout. Sometimes, the most radical voice in the room is the quietest. And if this gave you a whole new lens on Blazing Saddles, hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more behind-the-scenes revelations. Ready for more? Click the next video. We promise, you won't want to miss what's coming.